Donc on a une situation premium de par la localisation du projet. Donc on est à 15 km de la ville d'Agadir, on est à 160 km d'Essaouira, on est à 230 km de Marrakech, on est à 4 heures maximum en vol de toutes les capitales européennes, on est à 1 heure en voiture à l'aéroport d'Agadir et on est connecté à l'autoroute A7, Agadir, Casablanca et Marrakech. Donc le projet, donc de droite à gauche, nous avons les composantes hôtelières qui sont situées en front de mer. Donc vous avez la première composante de votre droite, c'est le Pic Albatros, donc c'est le White Beach développé par le Pic Albatros. Ensuite, il y a le Marriott qui est en cours de développement par la société, par la SAPST. Et on est au Fairmont. Aujourd'hui, c'est développé par Sud Partners. Ensuite, on a le Beach Club. C'est une composante d'animation de la station. Ensuite, il y a le Hilton, qui a été développé par la SAPST. Town Square, c'est le centre commercial, comme j'ai dit, alors en plein air. Ensuite, on a le Hyatt Regency développé par un de nos actionnaires MADAF. Et la plus grande composante de la station, c'est le Rio Tikeda Palace. Et à la fin, on a le Radisson Blu. Donc, c'est une composante aussi qui a été développée par la SAPST. Et à la fin, nous avons le Eco-Resort. Donc, c'est une composante non encore développée. Donc, j'y reviens. C'est justement le but de cette présentation. Donc, en haut, on a l'hôtel du Golfe et quelques composantes d'animation, donc le centre d'Argan et la coopérative, le centre d'Argan et l'académie de tennis, en plus de toutes les parcelles résidentielles qui sont tout autour du Golfe. Alors, en ce qui concerne l'état d'avancement, donc la première composante qui a vu le jour, c'est le golfe de Taghazout. Donc, je vous laisse apprécier un peu les photos du golfe. Donc, c'est un golfe initialement qui était de 18 trous, et au mois de novembre de l'année dernière, on en a rajouté 9, donc on a un total de 27 trous. Donc, le clubhouse aussi, qui a ouvert au mois de novembre 2014. Ensuite, la première composante hôtelière ouverte, c'est le Hyatt Place, donc c'est 160 chambres à peu près, donc qui est adossé au golfe, donc ce qu'on appelle, nous, l'hôtel du golfe. Donc, quelques photos. Donc, deuxième composante, style unique dans la station, donc c'est le Radisson Blu, ex-Soul House. Donc c'est sous forme de bungalow, donc on en a 90. Alors, en 2019, il y a eu l'ouverture comme j'ai dit, la plus grande unité hôtelière de 500 chambres, 504 exactement. C'est le Rio Tikeda. Donc, il a ouvert en 2019. Quelques photos. 2020, le Pic Albatros, White Beach. 265 chambres. Alors, 2021, 2 composantes se sont rajoutées. Donc, c'est des composantes de luxe. C'est le Hyatt Regency, qui est développé par notre actionnaire MADAF. Et ensuite, le Fairmont, en juillet 2021, développé par notre partenaire aussi et notre actionnaire Sud Partners. Donc, quelques photos. 2022, 3 composantes ouvertes, donc 2 composantes d'animation et une composante hôtelière. Donc, on a Tergant, donc c'est un musée de l'art gagné, des ateliers de production de l'huile d'argan et à la fin, un restaurant à base de produits terroirs. Alors, il a ouvert au mois de mai 2022. On a eu l'occasion de le visiter hier avec certains de vos collègues. Donc là, on voit les coopératifs, les femmes qui travaillent. Donc, le Blue Beach, qui est ouvert aussi en juillet 2022. Donc, c'est une composante d'animation. Sa piscine de 1600 mètres carrés avec le bar et restaurant. Et enfin, c'est le Hilton qui est ouvert en octobre, le 19 octobre 2022. Donc, 170 chambres qu'on a eu l'occasion de visiter hier soir, lors de la soirée. Voilà, en ce qui concerne l'opportunité d'investissement. Donc, je reviens à l'éco-resort dont on a parlé tout à l'heure. C'est la plus grande composante de la station. Je ne sais pas si vous arrivez à lire les chiffres. Donc, c'est la plus grande composante de la station qui fait 54 hectares, dont 45 à peu près dédiés à l'hôtellerie et 9 hectares dédiés au résidentiel. Donc, c'est celle qui se trouve tout à gauche de la station, donc entre le village et la station de Taghazout. Donc c'est à peu près 940 lits. Donc c'est un projet très intéressant et on l'a visité hier et on est à disposition pour en discuter s'il y a des intérêts par rapport à ce produit. Donc les détails, le cost c'est de 10%, la hauteur c'est du 14 mètres pour l'hôtellerie et de 12 mètres pour la partie résidentielle. Voilà, donc je vous laisse voir quelques photos du site pour ceux qui n'ont pas fait la visite avec nous hier. Avec aussi une très grande façade maritime. Voilà, donc je vais finir par vous montrer le film institutionnel de la station.
The most beautiful stories start with an encounter. For discovering the exception, living the exception. Fill up on sensations, emotions, memorable memories.
Taghazout Bay, meet, leave, enjoy.
Voilà, je vous remercie.
Thanks, everyone. Hello? Yes, perfect. Right, well, without further ado, I'm going to introduce the rest of my panel and ask them to come and join us, please. So if I can have Esteban from Hilton and Reda from Accor, please. What I would say is I was lucky enough to go on the tourist, sort of the investor guide to the area on the first day of the conference. And I think it's being held again tomorrow. And if it is, I would strongly recommend you go, especially if you've got any interest in the eco-resort, which I know is still up for grabs. And actually, we'll start there. What is an eco-resort? If you could just fill me in, Esteban. Yeah, it should be. It'll catch up.
Just before Mr. Cherkaoui is leaving, I'd just like to be the first one on confirming the interest on the eco-resort project. We have been doing some fantastic things on this subject during the last few years. And what is an eco-resort? Obviously, the word eco explains by itself. We need to be more embedded with the ecology. But not only about nature and where the hotel is, but how we manage it as well.
Do eco-resorts necessarily need to be smaller than your typical resorts, Reda? I mean, where do you think on this?
Not necessarily. I think when we study the typology of resorts, we have three different types of resorts. We have traditional resorts, which is mainly seaside and mountains. It represents nearly 85% of the branded supply in the resort segment. You have also the niche resort, maybe more close to what you are saying, which represent nearly 1 to 2% of the total branded supply of rooms. And you have the niche resort, which represent nearly 10% of the global supply, like the resort in Orlando, through the thematic park with Walt Disney, for example, or Hilton on golf resort. It's a good question, the question of size and scale. In many ways, we think that to be eco, we need to be small. But there is also another school that would think differently, and we need to have a scale, to have the capacity to reinvest on some action, to preserve nature, to live in harmony with fauna and nature. That's why I think there is not only one question, but many questions. I think the most interesting thing is to act to protect nature when we develop the resort, to think how sustainable could be the resort, and at the end, how the resort could live in harmony not only with nature, but with the local population. Because we need to integrate, we need to be completely in fusion with the local communities.
So in theory, basically, I could build a 500-bedroom, all-inclusive resort on a beach, and as long as I'd been nice to nature, I'd got my electricity, solar panels up, etc. I was, trying to keep my carbon footprint as neutral as possible. It could be an eco-resort just as much as a 20-bedroom place in the middle of the jungle.
I think it's more than that. When we spoke, we, for instance, at Hilton, we have created a platform called Lightstay in 2009. Not only tracks, but it reports all the consumption in utilities, among others. And all these types of measures helps you to manage and operate hotels in a sustainable way. I think that this is a crucial matter when we're discussing resorts, and especially eco-resorts.
Yeah, I mean, eco-resorts are one element of the ESG that everyone's talking about, the environmental, social and governance. Is that something that we see as a genuine trend? Is that something that we think is perhaps people giving voice service to just saying, they're talking about it but not necessarily doing it? I'll throw that one to you, Reda, first.
I think it's not a trend, it's a reality. Our customer ask, the first question that they're asking us is, what do you do for sustainability? And that's why when we design a resort from scratch, we need to implement from day one all the sustainable action that we can do. But to be frank, there is a tricky question, the cost of this action. And it's always a very big discussion with our future partners and future owners. Could they afford to increase the cost due to this ESG action? Mm-hmm. And it's not easy to take this decision, but smallest things can definitely change the future. And
I just want to cut in here for 1 second, because I've got a client that will spend the capex on any solar PV panels that you need to put in, and then charge your owners a lower figure for their electricity charge. There are funds out there that will actually invest in that infrastructure for you, so you don't end up with that massive hit early doors. So it's something that people really should be thinking for, I think.
Yeah, but we need to think as well what owners are willing to do. We do have owners that are willing to pay a premium just to sort their hotel with a completely green energy. We see that nowadays. So.
No, that's good. One of the things, we did some research quite a while ago about greenwashing, and a lot of customers were saying, no, I will spend extra dollars to come and stay in a resort that's sustainable, that is looking after the environment. But actually at that time, we found they wouldn't actually spend the money, they'd just talk about it. There has been a trend over the last couple of years to see that there is maybe between 2 and 7% increase in spend people will spend out of their own pockets to actually support somewhere that is ecologically friendly. So I think that's movement in the right direction. But there we go. So on to another trend, all-inclusive resorts. Now I know, Reda, you're quite a fan of these.
All-inclusive resorts is definitely the big trend that we are notifying in the market in the last 2 years. And I think when you see the moves that all the main hotels operators are doing now, it's a key segment. When you, for example, if you check the review on TripAdvisor on the best hotel rewarded by clients last year, on the top 25 hotels, 18 were resort hotels, including 10 resort beachside or seaside, 3 were ski resorts, and 5 countrysides, which show you that there is a great momentum for resorts. All-inclusive, it's also a very good question. there is today a lack of quality in all-inclusive. And people are ready to pay a very big amount to spend a fantastic stay. And I think the most important thing is how we can create memorable moments, because all the all-inclusive resorts, the definition is to spend a fantastic stay in family, in couples, in single. And it's the perfect momentum for that. And for example, at Accor, we have worked a lot of years to find the right recipe. And that's why we have done a fantastic move on an equity with Rixos, because it's a fantastic success story which started in Turkey. And we are trying now to share all the knowledge, all the expertise of Rixos, to share it with all our brands, to give the wonderful support and an amazing support to all our resorts all over the world.
No, fantastic. I mean, the thing is, you guys have got a slightly strange position because you've got to look after your customers, but you've also got to look after your owners. So these are the guys that are buying and building these things. Is there any profit in all-inclusives? I mean, how valuable can they be for an investor?
There are. Obviously, there are. Otherwise, I think we wouldn't be seeing such a big amount of resort development. Obviously, there are risks, but what it is important is to start from the very scratch, thinking and focus on what a resort is. It will include a large amount of facilities. So all the infrastructure for a resort, for leisure facilities are quite expensive. We need to consider that. We need to consider as well who will operate this, how many pools you will have, how many bars, how many restaurants you will have. And when we say that we need to consider it from scratch, you should have a good team of architects. I'm proud to say that we do have the best team of architects and engineers supporting our owners that are focused on what type of property you will be developing. So those are crucial matters when you are developing an all-inclusive resort. Other than how do I do to minimize the seasonality risk? So how well connected is my property? How far away it is from the airport? What couriers do we have to the airport? How well connected it is? So yes, there is profit to be done.
But it's a good plug for all the consultants in the room. Make sure your feasibility study's done properly, so you've got the right amount of restaurants, the right amount of bars. The difficulty I have with all-inclusives is part of the ESG thing, so the social side of things. If I develop an all-inclusive resort and all of my customers come in there and then they spend every dollar there, it doesn't get spread into the wider community. And then you have the wider community almost resent the tourists that come. How can we get around that? How can we make sure that all-inclusives include the local people and therefore, apart from the lucky few that get employed by the resort, how can we make it a little bit, better for the wider community?
So, for sure, it's a good question. When you build a resort of 500 rooms, you have to think that it's not one hotel. It's 2 or 3 hotels within one hotel, even on a very big plot. The inclusion of the local community is a must. And you're right, we employ a large part of the community, but we also need to share the profit that we are doing in this resort with the local community. For sure, the all-inclusive business, it's very close to the boat cruise business, because you bring all the clients, you try to keep them inside the resort. But it's not fully sustainable, because clients, they will spend maybe during 1 week, 5 days at the resort, but they need to do some external excursion. And this excursion will be in connection with the local community. There is